And of course, the subject of homelessness really has impacted just about every part of our country and every community. We've seen it in our own backyard. We've seen major cities across the country destroyed because of it. What is it? What's happened? Why the explosion with this issue? We are so honored to have with us today Dr. Robert Marbut. He is a former homeless czar and a senior fellow of the Discovery Institute Centers on Wealth and Poverty. He has served as chief of staff for the San Antonio Mayor Henry Kissinger and in the early 80s, and as a White House fellow under George H.W. Bush, and most recently as the executive director of the U.S. Interagency Council of Homelessness from 2019 to 2021 under both the Trump and Biden administrations. There is a website, discovery.org is the website, and there's a picture of that landing page with his picture on it. There again, discovery.org. Dr. Marbut, good to see you. How are you, friend?
Thank you very much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Great. Where are you? Where are you talking from?
I'm actually at a mission called Bethany House, which is in Laredo, Texas, right on the border. Wow. And we're just adding a new wing today, so I'm down here helping out on that. It's a project we've been working on for a couple of years, and they're expanding their men's dorm. So that's where I am.
Good for you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thanks for your time. All right. So the president just issued an executive order targeting homelessness. Can you explain what this might entail?
Well, it does a lot of things, and there's been a lot of media around it. But the most important part of the president's executive order, and I absolutely have to applaud the president for leaning in and doing what needs to be done, is he's going to take the money that has been given to past programs over the last 12 or 13 years that are going to things what we call harm reduction. And so it's like safe needle exchange, safe consumption sites, how to make drugs safe, which I personally think you can't make fentanyl safe. Mm-hmm. Fentanyl, you can't make the fentanyl supply safe. You can't make using fentanyl safe, but that's what that money's been going to. And that money's going to stop and will now start going to treatment and recovery programs. And the simplest way to sum it up is our government policies across the country, and most of the country, the federal government, cities like you were talking about, like San Francisco, they have been making it easy to get high and hard to get treatment. And I just think we have to flip that on the head and say, we care so much about you as a human being. We want to make recovery and treatment easy and make it hard to get high.
Very good. Let me just ask you a couple of fundamental questions. Why has this issue exploded?
And to me, very simple. In 2013, the federal government changed their policy. Pre-2013, if you helped a person with a house or housing or a vehicle or a gas card or transportation, you were required to be in a treatment program. You were required to be working on your issues. And that could be untreated mental illness, it could be substance abuse, it could be job training, it could be whatever you need. And in 2013, the president and the federal government fundamentally changed it and said, we're just going to give you free housing, free cars, free gas, things for free. And you didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to be in a treatment program. In fact, they made faith communities not allow anymore, if they receive federal money, to require being in a treatment program. So think about a college Pell Grant. Right now, when you get a college Pell Grant, you have to attend class 88.5% of the time. You have to have a 2.0. You have to finish in your design time period, normally 3, 4, 5 years. But imagine if we did the Pell Grant that every semester we sent you a check and you didn't have to go to school, you didn't have to graduate, you didn't have to work a program, you didn't have to have a GPA. That's what we did to our federal homeless policy, and most states then followed that around the country. So we stopped treating the root cause of homelessness, is the simplest way to say it. And most street-level homeless is based in untreated mental illness and substance abuse.
So at the end of the day, from 2013 to where we are today, am I overstating to say it just got politicized?
Yes, no, you're exactly right. And it did become political, and we moved from making clinical decision and common sense decisions to make politically woke decisions. And President Trump in his first administration kept trying to undo this and work with Congress and work with the other side of the aisle. And it never could get done. He just couldn't get it done because so many people wanted to keep it in political ideology rather than a clinical treatment. And now that's what's so great about what the president has done now is he said, I'm not going to wait for that. We're going to just get going and we're going to do what we need to do right now, immediately. And I applaud President Trump for sort of taking the bold action to change the course and start treating again. When we treated homelessness was going down, ironically, in the last part of 08, 09, and 10. And then when they stopped saying, we're no longer going to fund it and you can do whatever you want, you can be an addicted, you can bring drugs into our facility, you can bring alcohol in, that's when it all got amok and went awry.
Okay, so the other part of this equation is during that politicization of all of this, DEI comes into effect, and that pretty much became the barrier from using or allowing faith communities to organizations, I should say, from doing what they do, which they do not only so much better, they do it with a heart, and they do it certainly a whole lot more efficiently. With DEI coming off the table, is that going to open the door for the faith organizations to come alive again?
Well, you bring up such an important thing. Before I directly answer it, I want to celebrate the faith community. The faith community, Salvation Army, the Union Rescue Mission Network, which is now called City Gate Network, some of the independents, both of those, and you can go back to the American Red Cross when it was a faith organization shortly after the Civil War. All three of those groups are founded shortly after the Civil War to deal with the orphans, the widows, and the veterans who had disabilities from the Civil War. The government didn't do anything. The federal government doesn't get involved with homeless in an official way until 1987. So for almost 100 years, the faith community led the way and was almost the only way in most parts of the country. And they did a really good job. Homelessness was down. And in some ways, when the federal government got involved, that made it political, like you mentioned before, and started working towards sort of, in my opinion, very woke, extreme policies that say, we want to allow you to do your addiction. We want to allow you to be you and do your addiction, and we'll even help you out. We'll try to make the drugs safe. You can't make fentanyl safe. The fentanyl crisis has changed the landscape on the street. And so this order, my goal, and what I've expressed to the administration, is a real hope that we move to what I call a faith neutral, because in 2013, the Obama administration started putting in guidelines that said, if you're a faith organization and you want to help people experiencing homelessness, you have to take down your religious symbols. You have to take down the messages in the hallway. You can't have Bibles in the room and such like that. And to me, if your faith organization does a great job of helping getting people out of homelessness, we should let you do it, and don't discriminate. I totally agree they shouldn't discriminate, but there are enough safeguards for that. And most faith groups take you as you are. They love you so much that we take you as you are, but we also love you too much to let you stay in your addiction. And the faith community has a long history, long before the federal government. They do it better, they do it more efficient, and they do it more effective.
So the other part of that question is the administration has really reversed DEI as a basis of operation now from just about every federal agency out there. And being a broadcaster, we were obviously fighting it through the FCC and all of those issues, but we are a faith-based organization. But the point being is, with the removal of DEI, does that allow faith-based organizations to be considered resources from the federal government to help with homelessness?
Absolutely. And some other things are going to go. When the federal government was putting in, I'm going to oversimplify it, but in 2013, in the second administration of President Obama, they basically put in a bunch of laws, not just DEI, but many more, that basically said if you're a faith group, you got to sterilize your entire program, sterilize your building, sterilize your process, just to bid for a grant. And it just really made it where a lot of faith groups said, we're not going to change who we are.
Yeah.
And if you're going to let us do it our way, we're backing out. And so the faith community really exited the field in terms of being a partner with government. They did it on their own. They did it the way they know best. But the problem with that is they lost a lot of funding, which meant they lost capacity and they lost the ability to help a large number of people.
Yeah. It's so interesting because if you just look statistically at the results from various faith-based organizations, it's by far more encouraging. And in our own backyard, we have two main addiction recovery organizations that happen to be faith-based. They don't lead by that, but they're certainly anchored in that. And their statistics, Dr. Marbut, are amazing. I mean, it's just amazing. Anyway, I don't want to drill down on that too hard, but I'm glad to hear that maybe that door's reopening.
You should, because why would the federal government in 2013 say, all of you who are doing a great job, for some reason you have the secret sauce and you're doing a great job, we're going to make you not do it that way. Yet we want you to still help us out, but you can't do it the way you know it works well.
Yeah.
That to me is nuts.
Okay. All right, let me take a quick break. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, Dr. Robert Marbut, his website is discovery.org. There he's the executive director there. In so many ways, he works with so many organizations. He used to be the Czar in this, and he's frontline warrior with it. So check it out. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. What an honor to have with us today Dr. Robert Marbut. He is a former homeless czar, and now he's a senior fellow at the Discovery Institute Center on Wealth and Poverty. We're talking about homelessness, and there is a picture of his website, discovery.org is where you can check in with him, discovery.org. Dr. Marbut, is it true, and help me with this, that homelessness is usually in three categories? So you got the mental health, you got the addiction, and then I don't know how you say the third one, but it's a transition. It's somebody that doesn't really want a handout, but a hand up. Something fell apart in their life and they're just trying to get back. Is that fair to say there's three categories of homelessness?
I think there's one more large category, or a high number of people in a category, is in particular on the family side and with women, is domestic violence.
Oh, wow.
Domestic violence survivors and victims. And so if you add that in, that probably between those four categories, the three you mentioned, domestic violence, probably gets you at about 92% of the overall homelessness in the United States.
Is it epidemic now?
Oh, no other country in the world is seeing this. A couple of weeks ago, I was all over South America. I was in Buenos Aires, I was in Santiago, I was in El Fate, I was moving all over. And you don't see this in third world countries. You don't see this in second world countries. This is a unique problem of the United States. And part of it is we've lost accountability on one side. Another part of it is the federal government bad policy of the past, which this executive order with President Trump will reverse that. But we have been funding safe consumption sites rather than treatment. I just can't even think, how did we get so off the rail? In the faith community, there's also sometimes enablement that goes on in the faith community. I think there was a great book written about almost 2 decades ago, Toxic Charity. And there were actually several books written about that. And we need to help people, meet people where they are. It's very biblical. And then you help them get out. But we shouldn't be enabling people's addictions. That should not be what we are doing. And we shouldn't enablement not working. That should not be something we're doing.
Are we become callous to this because it's so vast?
Well, sadly, the cities that are trying to deal with it are the ones that are so beyond crisis. Like San Francisco, I don't recognize anymore. I go there a lot because of the homeless situation, and they have a new mayor who's really trying to make some change now, and I applaud the new mayor. They have a district attorney who's also trying to work real hard. But that city is almost lost. I don't know how they bring that city back. I hope they do, but I don't know how. We have parts of LA that are just like, third world looks better. Parts of Seattle now, Honolulu, Portland, Chicago, New York. We've just lost our cities and we've lost our common sense, and that's how we sort of got to where we are now. But the good news is I'm starting to see people change. I'm starting to see mayors use common sense rather than political ideology or sort of a woke extremism. And I think people are now so fed up with it now that we need to take good, thoughtful, common sense action. And it has to absolutely be compassionate. And I think with compassion and accountability, you get great success. Or to put it another way, compassion without accountability is enablement.
Yeah. Dealing with the 4 categories is one thing, but since we've closed the border, is there continued efforts to cut off the drug chain, either with the cartels or fentanyl coming from China? Is the administration zeroing in on that?
The administration has done more to shut down the fentanyl supply than the prior administration ever. I was really shocked of the prior administration, the Biden administration. It wasn't until the last 6 months of their term that they started even talking about fentanyl. Fentanyl, I wrote memos. I talked to, when I transitioned from Trump to Biden and then exited the Biden administration and became a civilian, I talked about the fentanyl supply is out of control. You guys got to really start focusing on it. You gals, you got to really take this as the focus because we're losing our cities. And this is before it became middle class and came across America. Now it's everywhere. And this administration has done more to deal with China and has done more to deal with Mexico. And candidly, we got to focus on the northern border now. We're starting to see a lot of fentanyl come across the northern border. And as we clamp down on that, I think the next wave fentanyl will start to come in is through gangs. What we see in Canada is the biker gangs that really bring it across the border. And so as we close down the southern border, get real strict with China, we also got to do the same with Canada. And then I think we need to start working with our inner city gangs and start getting very, very serious about the supply there.
The president yesterday announced, based upon fentanyl coming across the northern border, that the tariff increase for Canada is going to go from 25% to 35%, primarily because of this very issue that we're talking about. In other words, telling Canada, get involved in the drug trafficking.
I think actually, and I know I may have a minority opinion on this, But, I just finished doing the documentary Fentanyl Death Incorporated. And the biggest thing we learned was how quick the shift was going from the southwest border to the northern border, and that the Mexican cartels and China were working with the biker gangs up in Canada. And this is my, I'm not in the administration, so I don't get the reports, I don't get the data, but my strong hunch is more fentanyl is coming across the northern border now than the southwest border.
Okay, so back to this executive order. Remind us again how this shifts dollars, and when do you see the impact of this?
It will immediately start the process of shifting dollars from harm reduction programs to treatment and recovery programs. And again, a harm reduction program, that's code word and woke words for safe consumption, use, safe needles, providing straws. Everybody saw what happened in San Francisco. That was just where $26 million of taxpayers' dollars funded a safe consumption site right downtown. I mean, that was just mind-boggling how we ever got to that point. So it shifts the dollars, and it also says let's start focusing on treatment requirements. Let's make this faith-friendly, where the faith community can get back into it and be a partner with everybody in helping this. And so that will start taking effect immediately. Now, with every grant process that rolls out, each one of those will get reworked in the image of the executive order. And so it will take 6, 8, 9 months to get the full machine going, but it will go. Or think of a tanker ship or a cruise ship. We've turned the wheel. Now we got to wait for the rest of the boat to catch up with us, but it will. And some things will start taking effect immediately.
As far as treatment is concerned, Dr. Marbut, is there guidelines from the federal government this, or do you let organizations come up with their own?
We're actually working through that issue now, and a lot of people are talking about that. That's a great question, because candidly, nobody ever thought we could get to a point where we were going to get rid of the harm reduction program, so a lot of people weren't thinking about it. I look at an incredible faith program in Baltimore called Helping Up Mission is the best program in the United States. They're part of the old Union Rescue Gospel Mission Network, now called Citygate Network, and it's Helping Up Mission. And they partner with Johns Hopkins University, and everybody in their program has a 40-hour work week or a production week, or, if you're brand new, you're dealing with classes. As you get more mature through the program, you start doing some outside work. But everybody has a 40-hour week productive work. Some of that's classes, some of that's treatment, some of that's vocational training. And within that 40 hours, there's 12 hours of substance use disorder treatment, and if needed, mental health issues, behavioral health issues, that is provided by Johns Hopkins. So the mission provides 28 hours of programming a week. Johns Hopkins provides 12 hours of programming a week for a 40-hour week, and they're having phenomenal success rate, probably the best program in the United States right now.
Well, you're making my point, and I'm almost out of time, and that is encouraging you and others to look at faith-based organizations that are successful and let that become the template. We have one here. It's mentored-based. In other words, those who have come through the program and have recovered turn around and help others to come through that, which is a biblical thing. Whatever God saves you from brings you through. He turns around and makes you a minister too, So
very biblical. Grounded in faith.
What's that?
Very biblical and grounded in faith.
Yeah, I would really hope. So I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your work. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, you can go to discovery.org. That's where you could check out more what Dr. Marbut's doing there. And he's the experienced one. So there it is, discovery.org. Can we get you back sometime?
Happy to come back anytime.
Thank you. God bless you. Thanks for your work.
Thank you for what you do in getting the message out.
Good.